Good evening, class. My name is Caitlin, and I'm so excited to share with you what I've learned in competency number 2. All of these competencies were dealing with nonprofit organizational operations, and I've learned a lot as I've explored these competencies. First of all, let's talk about what these competencies were about. We were talking about historical and philosophical foundations, board and committee development, nonprofit management, community outreach, marketing and public relations, as well as nonprofit program planning. Now, I saw some similarities and differences throughout these competencies, so let's talk about the similarities first. I believe that all of these competencies are functions of a well-rounded nonprofit organization. All of these competencies require the implementation of the organization's vision statement, goals, and its mission. And all of these competencies demand that staff, volunteers, clients, and the community to be on the same page regarding the organization's mission. Now, let's talk about some differences found for these competencies. Some stuck out to me. I thought that board and committee development, nonprofit management, and historical and philosophical foundations touch on responsibilities of the board and management of the nonprofit organization. And I thought that competencies like community outreach, marketing, and public relations, nonprofit program planning, all of these fully encompass the community's perception of issues at hand and how they will step up to assist an organization in making positive change happen in their own community. Now that we've talked about the competencies that we were reviewing in this time, I want to talk about my own strengths and weaknesses that I've found throughout these competencies. Some strengths that I have are my passion to unite people of various backgrounds. I also have a desire to understand and adapt to new communities. Some weaknesses that I find in myself include a struggle to implement policy and also a lack of initiative. I found these during my internships throughout the HSML program, a struggle to be firm in what I know I need to enforce while working at a nonprofit. And that's a huge part of management within a nonprofit organization, is being able to implement policy. Now, as for personal growth, we all have ways that we can grow stronger. So for me, I want to strengthen my abilities by continuing to practice adapting to new cultures and getting to know people on a more deep level. I can also push myself to interact with groups and individuals that are different than myself. In order to grow in my weaknesses, I can absolutely learn through practice. Additionally, mentorship and really understanding an organization's policies and procedures and the standards that they seek to uphold, really fully understanding that is going to help me feel confident when it comes time to implement policy. And in regards to lack of initiative, I need to grow in my confidence of the organization that I'm working for, that I know where the organization is going and how I can help with the program planning in that organization. Now that we've talked about growth throughout these competencies, I want to tell you about my personal learning experience. A few things that I've learned throughout these competencies are that an emphasis on exploring the needs of various communities and how to best serve the community at large. I've learned that there's a need for diversity among an organization's staff, board, and volunteers, and that's very important. And I've learned that it's imperative for an organization to lay a strong foundation as staff members, clients, and volunteers interact with one another. And this goes back to understanding an organization's history and what it's been built upon. Now, in this slide, I've included some pictures. On the far left is a picture of me exploring a new community to me in Costa Rica. The city's name was Mollejones, and this was a really wonderful community to get to know, to interact with people who were different than myself, to understand the plants around them, how they interact with each other, and the problems that they're coming across and facing their community. Interacting with this group of individuals definitely created a passion in me to bring back here to America. Now, this middle photo is me during my internship at Bridges Safe House. I'm standing next to a really wonderful person named Kim. This picture has a really great story behind it, but I'll try to keep it brief. Me and Kim were both working at Bridges Safe House together at the shelter, and we were trying to take all the women in the shelter out to visit a past resident who was now living in her own apartment. She was living in her own apartment in Grapevine, and we wanted to show these women what they had to look forward to, that working hard and working towards sustainability, could lead to such wonderful independence. And we loaded all the ladies up in a van, and we drove to Grapevine to get to this apartment, and it was such a wonderful experience. But, oh no, something really terrible happened. Me and Kim got the van stuck on a pole at the apartment complex, and we had to have firefighters and police officers from Grapevine come help us out. And it was such a crazy, stressful experience in the moment, but I look back on that experience and I think about what I learned about a new community that day. All of these women from the shelter, me and Kim working at the shelter, interacting with these police officers and firefighters from Grapevine, just talking about what was happening in the city, their struggles, their difficulties, how their day had been. It was such a growing experience for me, and it certainly instilled a passion in me to get to know those around me even more. Now let's talk about competency mastery. For this set of competencies, I chose board/committee development. While interning at Bridges Safe House, I did get some experience helping out with board meetings. I was able to assist the program coordinator and executive director as they prepared materials for a board retreat, and I was also able to prepare questionnaires for the board members who would be participating in this time of development. So basically, we were able to create questionnaires for the board members to assess what is the vision and mission of Bridges Safe House, what is this organization built upon, and how are we accomplishing those goals that we've set. And I was really excited to get to be a part of their board development. I was also able to greet board members as they came together to share ideas about the vision and goals of the organization. While I didn't personally attend any board meetings, I was able to meet and greet with the board members to make them feel very welcome as they entered into their board meetings, to prepare refreshments, to set the tone of the room, whether it be preparing the PowerPoint presentations or making sure that they were in a well-lit, clean space to talk and discuss the progress of Bridges Safe House. What I've included for the remainder of this PowerPoint is a PowerPoint that I created for a nonprofit finance class. This is all about my time at Bridges Safe House and what I learned about the financial side of their organization. I chose this PowerPoint because I believe that sitting on a board, a huge part of that is understanding the financial state of an organization. It's very imperative to understand the finances of your organization in order to make the best decisions to profit the mission and goals of that organization. In this first slide, it tells you a little bit about the background of Bridges Safe House, that it's a nonprofit organization and who it seeks to serve. I also was able to reflect on my time volunteering there for the financial side of the organization. I learned so many wonderful things about fundraising, budgeting, sponsorship, developing special events budgets, fundraising budgets, using QuickBooks software, and also attending planning meetings, which is a huge component of sitting on a board, is planning and getting together with other individuals who have a similar goal in mind. I was also able to better understand the direct costs of Bridges Safe House. As you can see from this picture on the left, you can see the prices, the reality of what it takes to support a woman who is being supported by this organization. $387 weekly, $1,677 monthly, and $20,133 annually to support one resident and baby. It's a beautiful goal to help empower these women to reach sustainability. And it's also a very complicated reality that the money has to be raised for these women to be supported in this very vulnerable time of their lives. And I learned so much during my time at this organization. I also was able to learn a lot about where Bridges receives its support, whether it be from donors in the community, churches, or even from grants from the state of Texas. Well, thank you so much for walking with me through this journey as I'm learning more about myself through these competencies, and thank you so much.